Morning, guys. So, yeah, a lot of you in the group will have seen that I'm focusing on DAX a lot at the moment. One, because it moves very quickly. Two, because it respects my strategy, and the knowledge that I've already got is very well incorporated into the pair. And three, you kind of know what you're looking for most of the time, buys, so it makes the direction really, really easy. There's not loads of manipulation either. It seems, there's not massive wick outs. It's a nice pair to trade, or it's a nice index to trade. So we're just going to jump into the first entry straight away. So what you generally tend to find with DAX is that, after a big sell-off, or when it's making really, really big impulsive moves to the upside, it will go up very, very aggressively, maybe pull back a little bit, maybe upside like this, like that, and then it will move up again. And usually on these impulsive moves, really impulsive moves, you then find that what price does is it very weakly, diagonally, on the hourly as well, which needs to be done on the hourly. There's this. You get this really, really flat consolidation. It doesn't consolidate along a horizontal level, although you can get the entry on the horizontal level. It consolidates along the diagonal level. And then what we're looking for is obviously this on the hourly, and we'll go to some examples afterwards where then price breaks above. Most of the time it will retest, or you can just put it on the breakout, and then it will move to the upside, which when you're able to then capture this with whatever kind of trade you look at. You can go put your stop below the previous low, maybe get in there. You can be looking like at just a 2R or 3R or something, really depending on how tight you're able to get into that trade. But the point of it is there's, even if you're waiting for the change of character, I'm more aggressive with my entries. I like to get in really as early as possible. And then you can just look to target like whatever kind of eye you're comfortable with, or whatever kind of eye you think you can get away with, depending on what price action is happening around you. So this is the first entry. This is number one. We then have number two, which is also another entry on a trendline break. Although this trendline break is usually more, you've got a flat, which is usually when you're going to get a continuation, you get like this kind of flat downtrend that I've just mentioned. Very, very weak, more consolidation, but you can see it on a diagonal level. And then you get this one, which is where you get a move to the upside, price actually switches, and then creates this downtrend here. We'll just stop there for a moment. Yet again, you kind of want to make sure that this is done on the hourly. So it's a fucking horrible downtrend, but that's probably how price works. You want to make sure this is on the hourly, 30-minute at least. There's 3 time frames you really want to watch on this, which is the hourly, the 30-minute, and there is also an entry for the 15-minute as well, although it's not as reliable. I found that on DAX on the 1 hour, so with FX, I think this is FXCM, the hours actually start on the half hour. The 15-minute, unfortunately, will give you fake outs. There is, as I say, there is an entry on it, but it's something that's a lot more aggressive and a lot more counter trend. So the time frame you want to be paying attention to is is really the hourly and the 30-minute. If you get a break and a close on the 30-minute, that's a very, very good indication you're going to get a continuation. But you want to make sure that you see the structure formed on the hourly first. So okay, once we have this downtrend, we're then just looking for a switch in market momentum. And what you'll find is that price will create a form of resistance. Okay, so it's something like this. Maybe it's, as I say, it's kind of in line with this level here. We're waiting for price to break to the upside, and then we're looking to get in on the retest. Now, as I say, I get in aggressively because I like tight stops. I'll happily be stopped out and re-enter a trade. A lot of people don't like to do it that way, and that's absolutely fine. And then just looking for the continuation here, so something like this. You know, where we're looking at using the previous resistance as then a break and a retest of support. You can get in at a few places here, like for me, I'll get in here so I can get my best stop quite tight. You can look to target the whole way up, depending on how the hourly market structure is. So, for example, say we're in very, very bullish market structure, okay, we're just making new highs, and this is technically a higher low, you know, on like the 4 hour, for example, then you can look to target all the way up. If, for example, on the 4 hour, you're a little bit more bearish, then you want to be adjusting your take profit targets to realistically the last form of market structure. So, say we're actually on a downtrend here. So, we're actually on a downtrend, and we've been trading the pullbacks, okay? If you've got, I don't know, say, for example, this is what the downtrend looks like, and we're actually making new lows, you want to be looking to target the nearest area of market structure. As I say, taking into account what, you don't even need to be taking into account what the daily bias is, because the daily bias buys most of the time. What you want to be taking into account is where the nearest area of probably 4 hour market structure is. So if the market structure, if you're in bearish market structure, you're not going to be looking to go all the way up. If you're in bullish market structure, you're not going to be looking to go all the way down. You're going to be looking to go higher up even. So that's definitely something to take into account. Now, the third entry that we've got is a harder entry to get, and it's also the trades are a lot smaller on them, but I've picked up on this quite a lot, and it gives you a trade when you've not really got, you've not got loads of trades. It's not an A+ setup. These are A+ setups. The last two that I've shown you. However, these do work. I've been watching them for a while, back tested them, started now forward testing them. We got an entry on them yesterday, although you do have to be wary of where you're going to place your take profit targets. So when we get pullbacks like this, so say we're looking at the market, when we get pullbacks like this, these can be quite deep, okay? So especially on DAX, you can get sell-offs that are really, really quite deep on these kind of like corrections and these consolidations. When you see, and I'll show you the different levels, as I say, there's different angles to the entries. When you can have the flat one, that's a continuation. You can have this, which is more reversal trading, market structure shift trading, and then you have this here, which is kind of taking advantage of an impulsive move. Now, I'm not, as I say, I'm forward testing this. I'm going to be taking these trades a lot more because they work well, but they are harder to get. You have to know what you're looking for, and this is really where it differs. So you're looking for the first two entries, you're looking for an entry on the hourly, okay, or you're looking for a trend line break on the hourly, or some kind of consolidation, a flat consolidation, but always formed on the hourly or the 30-minute. When you see a sharp sell-off like this, when you see a really, really sharp sell-off like this, what you will usually get at the end of it is really something similar to this structure here. Okay, it's the same concept. So we're going to imagine that this same trade is taken within this area here. Okay, within this part of the downtrend. What you will find is that 9 times out of 10, when it gets to the bottom here, you will get a 15-minute consolidation. And then what you will get is you will get an engulfing candle at the bottom here. So you'll see price doing this. You'll see price doing exactly the same thing. You'll see price come down very, very aggressively. It will then do this on the 15-minute, and then you will get an engulfing candle that closes above this on the 15-minute. Okay, so this is your engulfing candle here. That's your engulfing candle. Like that. I know, make it green. Okay, that's your engulfing candle here. That'll probably be green, red, green. And then what you're looking for, you have to change the colour back, aren't I? What you're looking for is just a simple retest of this, and then price to move to the upside. That is your way to get into the trade. So for example, depending on where you're able to get in, you can even put your stop below previous lows and just be looking even for something like a 1 to 2 or a 1 to 3, or wherever you think the nearest area of market structure is. Okay, and that's what you will often find. This hang on, I'm getting there. This is what you will often find at the bottom of these down here. So you will often find this pattern or this setup down here, for example, if that makes sense. And that is then a way to get into the trade. Now, as I say, I've only looked at this pair on buys mainly. This does also work. This same setup works on shorts, and I'll show you an example of it. And I'm sure this setup probably works very well on shorts as well. In fact, it probably works better. For example, if you can go with the daily bias, or if you can go with the 4-hourly bias, you will get a higher risk to reward, where you can probably capture it, say at the top of here, and look to go down. And yeah, so the point of it is there's quite a few different entries. These are like your A+, but also there are other entries on this pair. It's something that I need to kind of forward test and live test, because, you know, you need to be able to chalk it up as, am I going to get a win out of this? You know, what my kind of R's looking like and stuff. But, you know, it's definitely something to take into account. Now, I'll take you on to this very, very messy chart. I'll take you on to the DAX chart now. Get rid of all of this. And I can show you different examples of these setups. So, for example here, we're going to go with very, very impulsive move to the upside. Prices, you can see this very flat consolidation. Price has broke above it, and then it has come back down and retested you know, even so you could be looking at this level as a retest here, and then you can look to target previous highs up here. And that's what I mean by a flat consolidation. This is when you get, it's really interesting, this pair, because like even when you've got like this kind of uptrend forming here, you've then also got the opportunity for a short here. It really respects this strategy very, very well. Probably would have got stopped out. And then you can look to re-enter, and you know there's another entry. Yet again, hourly trendline break. We know this was kind of done off a previous level here, which was a 4-hour level. Taking into account horizontals with this trading works wonders, but you have to be quite good with both, or focus on developing one area before you're able to develop the next. We also then have the same setup here, for example. So we've got a very, very strong hourly downtrend, which, yeah, again, you could have got the same entry at the top here for a short. And then you've got this hourly break. We're looking at previous resistance, which is this level here, this key level here. We're looking for a break, a close above, and a retest before price moves to the upside. Yeah, again, you've got the same here. So you've got a very, very impulsive, and this would be in terms. So this would be trade number one. This would be entry number one. This would be entry number two. This would be entry number two. And as I say, it's very important to take into account what market structure is happening at the time. For example, here, prices move to the upside. It's made a higher low. It's made a high, higher low. It's made a high. Now, on the hourly, price is actually breaking that structure, okay? So that's a break of structure right there, where price has moved to the downside, and it's gone past that higher low. So when we are looking at this trade, you've got to sit there and think, is that really going to go all the way up? No, most likely not, because we've already had the break of structure. So place your take profits accordingly. You can put your take profits here. You can put your take profits here. Then if we look, we've actually got the same trade. You can see on the hourly, and then price is actually, the structure shifted. You get the retest and prices move to the downside. But as I say, I've not really gone in on it on shorts yet. I'm just mainly looking at the buy. And then this, I'll give you a few different examples of the 15-minute trade. Okay, this here, classic number two trade, or entry number two trade, and also this is a classic entry number two trade. Now, reason why I placed take profit target all the way at the top here was for a number of reasons. Okay, so we could see that obviously after these trades here, you know, that price was starting to slow down. We've got this trend line here. We can see that price is starting to slow down. Okay, it's out of its aggressive downtrend. This is where we managed to capture a trade here. But what you've got to remember is the market structure is still in its bearish phase. You know, although we've made like a lower low, for example, you can see. So we've made obviously a high, low, lower high, equal, but then it's continued to move to the downside, lower low. But you can see it's kind of broken out of this. And as I say, prices always form the structure. So especially with when you've got choppy conditions like this, it's a lot easier to be able to make money with this strategy. When it's just bullish, that's when you want to use the 15-minute entry, and that's, you know, when price is just like moving to the upside, like really quite aggressively. That's when we want to be looking at either entries 1 or 3. They're good, or entries 1 or 3. They're going to be your go-tos. But when you've got choppy conditions like this, number 2 is where your money maker is. And just being able to, as I say, work out the different angles of the market, and going back to why I place take profit at all-time highs, but simply for the fact that you can see prices coming down here, prices slowing, okay? Prices slowed again. Like, you know, you're not just, the price isn't just going to run all the way to all-time highs most of the time. What you've got to take into account is that, you know, there's different phases of the market, and you want to just be a little bit weary, because if you start going all the way up there and then you're getting, you know, break even, or you're not trading your stops into profit. I mean, you can aim for it if you're going to trade stops into profit, but you know, that is just a key consideration to take. But we could see that price was like kind of forming these different angles here, and it's slowing. The sellers are slowing. That's what we're looking at. Okay, aggressive selling. Market structure has shifted, but we have come down and grabbed liquidity once more. So where are we going to look for this entry? And we're going to look for the entry here. Now, when I was live testing this, my criteria was different. My criteria was I had to wait for the close on the hourly, because this is what we were seeing across all of the pairs, but it didn't work for this monster of a trade. It closed above it on the hourly, and it just went up so aggressively. Buyers were just absolutely itching to move up, that it didn't bother coming down and retesting. So this is why then we kind of, you know, changed it, and we started looking at the 30-minute in terms of criteria. So you're always looking for your downtrend on the hourly, but then you're looking on the 30-minute for your break. So there we have the break. You can actually see it's just about broken before, but we want more, something a little bit cleaner. It actually came all the way up here as well. If you look at the wick on the 30-minute, and that's a good indication that we're going to continue to the upside. So this is why we kind of moved the criteria to entries on the 30-minute. And as you can see, it also works for the short here. We could see that price, you know, I took a long here, got taken out at break even or a small amount of profit. And you can see the price was just starting to flatten out. It was really weakening, and then we were just looking to take advantage of it the other way. Now let's go on to again, this is a trade that placed this morning. There was a few entries for it here, one here, and also one here as well. For it. And now let's go on to the harder trade, which is the 15-minute trade. Okay, so this is setup number 3. And you can see that this was a trade that was posted yesterday. I got in quite late to it because I wasn't massively confident. But when we see, and the main criteria for this trade needs to be an aggressive sell-off. Like, you need to see something quite steep. You need to see, you know, you can tell by different angles of the market. This isn't massively steep. This is. To be able to spot, this is why I say it's the hardest entry, because to be able to spot these, you need a lot of people. Like, I pay attention to the market more in terms of diagonal levels. A lot of people pay attention to the market in horizontal levels. So unless you're used to looking at angles of the market, these are harder trades to get. 100%. As I say, it will definitely, these trades will definitely make more sense to be able to trade with the kind of 4-hour market structure. But I'm only looking at buys at the moment. I'm going to look to take these concepts over to sells, but I haven't back tested it yet. I just want to focus on nailing the one bias before being able to kind of switch it up and go to the other bias. When I'm able to do that, it'll be great, because it will give me a lot more entries. And obviously a lot higher R entries. But anyway, so talking about, you know, when we're in that kind of phase of the market where we are in a downtrend, when we're looking for a pullback, what we're looking for is a very, very steep sell-off. Okay, then you get the consolidation on the 15-minute, and when price engulfs the previous level of resistance, what you will often get is a pullback and a retest where you're looking to get in. And really, with these, you just want to be targeting the nearest area of market structure. was hoping for ATHs on this yesterday, didn't happen, and we traded it very light as well. So, but you'll find that this happens quite a lot. I mean, you've got it here, for example, quite a steep aggressive sell-off, breaking a retest after that engulfing candle, and price has moved up somewhat, and it's actually moved up to this this level of market structure here for a winning trade. Same here. We were looking at this. We were looking at it last week. Very aggressive seller. Then you see the resistance. Price actually hasn't formed, or hasn't engulfed it. It's not been able to break above that level. Price has moved down. It's not been able to break above that level. Then we've had the engulfing candle here, and price has actually come back down. It's retested that former level of resistance, which comes off that wick and then moved to the upside. Unfortunately, didn't get this trade either because price didn't come back to where my entry was. It missed it by like a couple of points, like 3 points or something. And yet again, you've just got the same trade here. Okay, so you've got, and this is on the 15-minute, very, very steep sell-off. Price has created resistance on the 15-minute. Price is broken above it, retested it, and then you're just looking to target the nearest area of market structure. Yeah, again, same here. Very aggressive seller. Price is retesting. It's created a form of resistance. It's engulfed it. It's come back down. Price has then moved to the upside. Where you can just look to target like this high here, this high here. Although this is like, I've not really live tested this trade this entry system. I'm gonna be soon. I'm gonna move, be testing this soon because it's a good model. It's a good entry system, especially when you're not able to find entries. And we can look at it here as well. So you've got it here. You've actually got it here as well if you look. Like, very aggressive sell-off here. Very, very steep sell-off. Price has created a form of resistance. It's engulfed it. We've actually shifted market structure. And you've got an entry here where you can just look to target that high or this area of market structure. Like here, for example, where you're going to start to see resistance. And yeah, you actually see this example quite a lot across DAX. And it's a good way to be able to get into trades to look for continuations, like even here, for example, here's a really good example of it. Prices have this form of resistance, and you can look at being able to get into entries or first entries, like here, for example, and just look to target that high. And then you even move on to the other. Okay, cool, sweet. It's actually broken out of that. So, and there's plenty of examples of it. Loads of good examples on for bullish continuations as well. So yeah, just they're the kind of 3 entry models for buys that I'm looking at in DAX right now. I'm going to be trading them, live testing them, and moving forward. I'll probably put together the results over like 6 months, working out the kinks. I think I've looked at it enough now to actually move forward with this strategy in terms of testing all 3 entries, and yeah, just going from there. So this is the kind of DAX entry system that I've been working on. Your 1 and 2 entries are by far your most reliable. Number 2 is my best entry because I know I trade that system on other forex pairs. And number 3 seems, so far it seems quite reliable. So that's going to be interesting to trade, and you'll find that you're able to get a lot more positions on it. And then hopefully, after kind of 2-3 months of trading this, I'm then going to move to looking at the short entry system as well. So you're kind of able to capture, more trades throughout the week. This is the point of it. I'm, moving to a system where I'm able to get more entries, and because if we go on to some of the pairs that I trade, and it's really the only system that I've found works for me or that I bother trading anymore. And it's the same system, but it's always on the hourly and the 4 hourly. And sometimes you just won't get trades for like weeks. Like, I've been waiting on this kind of this bullish momentum now for quite some time, and you know you sometimes end up crashing out, or you sometimes end up, like even here, for example, you might see things a little bit wrong, and get stopped out and stuff. So I'm looking for really a pair that respects the knowledge that I already have, that I'm able to transfer it over to, and create a good entry model that has a decent R on it, and be able to trade that. Gold doesn't like me at all. I don't really like gold. I'm very weary of it. I think I'm more so a little bit scared of gold. Loads of people like trade it with good results, and maybe I could after a certain amount of time, but with the knowledge that I've got, it doesn't really seem to work too well. But with DAX, it all seems to be translated over perfectly. So this is probably going to be like my main pair. This is going to be the entry system that I've explained to you guys, and yeah, I'm just gonna be looking to trade this moving forward and seeing what the results are like. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you're from the Discord, please don't forget to like, please don't forget to leave a comment. If you're new here, please give it a subscribe, give it a like, just all of that jazz everybody asks everyone to do. So yeah, I appreciate your time, guys. This is the kind of entry system. So if you are in the Discord and you see me kind of seeing like, okay, this is like a number one, this is a number one, or this is number two, this is number three long, these that's the kind of entries that I'm going to be looking at. So watch this video, learn from it, make some decent trades on moving forward on DAX, make some good money on it.